Well, the first thing to say, Karen, is that having a murderer on your CV is an excellent qualification when it comes to being a life coach. Alright, hello YouTube, Derek Shoehorn here for life advice. Before I get into this week's questions, I've got a very important announcement to make. I'm going to be taking a break from posting videos to the channel for about a month to 6 weeks. Reason being, I gotta go for a business trip over to Hawaii, but it's just work really, it's boring stuff. I'm not looking forward to it at all. Fortunately, I will be able to stop over in Wuhan for a little R&R on the way back, which I'm really looking forward to, that little break. But as I say, it does mean I won't be uploading videos for about 6 weeks. So there'll be this one, and then I'll be doing my weekly video with Dr. Pam later this week, but after that, probably nothing for 6 weeks. Okay, so with all that being said, let's get right into this week's questions. Derek, since the age of 5, I have earned my living as a cutman, patching up the swollen eyes of boxers at practically every gym in Scotland. Recently, I was promoted to the prize fights, but my first assignment is in Saudi Arabia, and I'm worried that my fair Scottish skin will make the trip a misery. Any sunburn advice? And that is from Stitch McKechnie. Well, thanks for the question, Stitch. First of all, I take my hat off to you. Not literally, of course, but I do hugely respect Cutmen. I think you guys do great work, and you're underrated in the sport. A lot like caddies in golf and the guys who wipe sumo wrestlers' asses. But unfortunately, Cutmen are not as popular with everyone as they are with me. There is a strong campaign underway to try to shut down the Cutmen and to abolish that whole aspect of the boxing industry. As I understand it, it's a cosmetics argument to do with body image. There are those who argue that you Cutmen are little more than cosmetic surgeons and that you're setting unrealistic beauty standards for boxers. But from my point of view, I hope that that campaign is unsuccessful. I would hate to see the Cutmen go the same way as the pit girls. And on the question of your fair skin in the Saudi sunshine, you don't have to worry about that anymore. I know these are recent developments, but climate change has now completely turned the weather upside down globally, and the weather in Saudi is more or less the same as the weather in Scotland these days. Derek, I was recently murdered, but before that I watched your discussion with Dr. Pam about reincarnation. As a staunch atheist, I was unconvinced. And now that I am dead, I am delighted to report that I was right all along, and that after death there is nothing. Can you recommend a hobby to see me through eternity? And that is from Ricky Gervais. Well, Ricky, the afterlife is different for everyone. As you know, you wrote 2 series of it. If you practice reincarnation like Dr. Pam, then you experience other lives. If you practice Hinduism, then you experience an octopus elephant. And, as you rightly say, if you practice atheism throughout your life, then you experience nothing after death. But the one thing you do still have available to you, Ricky, is your imagination. Maybe even, and I don't want to tread on your toes here, I know you're an atheist, but you could even experiment with imagining what it might be like to believe something other than atheism. And then, you never know, you might get a second chance at life. And if you do get a second chance at life, I would highly recommend practicing Islam. Because then, when you die a second time over, you can get a whole lot of virgins, which would be a hell of a lot better than nothing. I'm sure you'd agree, Ricky. Alright, so let us know how that goes. I'm sure a lot of the viewers out there would be interested to know your progress on that. And good luck with it, Ricky. Derek, I am a murderer. I recently murdered the comedian Ricky Gervais while he was watching one of your videos, and I became intrigued. Now that I have satisfied my thirst for blood, perhaps life coaching would be a good career move for me. Any advice on breaking into the self-help industry? And that is from PC Karen Brady in Hampstead. Well, the first thing to say, Karen, is that having a murderer on your CV is an excellent qualification when it comes to being a life coach. That's one of the few things that actually I'm missing myself. I tried to do it a few times, but I just couldn't go through with it. The reason it's such a positive thing is because sometimes as a life coach, you have to be pretty brutal. You know, not everyone responds well to kind words and encouragement. Sometimes you gotta know when to stick the knife in, metaphorically speaking. But having said that, life coaches are born and not made, and I'm assuming that if you're only just thinking about becoming a life coach after already having committed a murder, it's probably too late for you. I mean, if you had already been thinking about becoming a life coach since birth, and then you had committed a murder, you would be absolutely perfectly qualified. You'd actually be better qualified than I am. But it's not the case. I'm still the best qualified life coach, and you are just a murderer. But I wouldn't want to discourage you from coaching entirely. I just think life coaching is perhaps a little bit of a stretch for you. But you could narrow it down, maybe do a bit of murder coaching, just on a temporary basis. Just get a feel for whether the coach-client relationship is something you're entirely comfortable with. It's not for everyone, you know. But a bit of practical hands-on experience is the best way to find out. Okay, so give that a go, Karen, and please do let us know how you get on with it. That's it for this week, guys. If you got a question for me, leave it in the comments and I'll get back to it after my business trip. But with all that being said, keep growing. No cheat days.